And she had cat houses for the cats at night. They could sleep in the house, there were so many of them. And she used to have the names for the cats, because they had cats. They had a cow and all that to keep mice away. The cats did their duty to get their food. Oh, I had a good childhood there in the summertime. And my best memories at home, of course, were when our dad was coming home from work, the little time that he had worked. They used to call it their dinner pail, but they had Macy's sometimes in antique stores. It was, they'd say a bucket, and then there's a top on with a screw where they put the coffee or whatever beverage they took to work. And when they were eating their lunch, they'd have a top, they'd take the top out, fill it with the food, their milk or water or whatever, and have it with their sandwich. Well, sometimes, I think he used to do it just to be good. When we'd see him coming from work, the memories, it just makes your heart ache. We'd watch from the store, from our porch on a patch. We could see him. See, there's out blanks, and well, you can't realize it. And we'd see my father, and my father was always tired, and he walked like this. Couple steps, and then he'd stop. Couple steps, he had asthma, miner's asthma. So we'd run like the dickens to get to him, so we could look in the bucket if he saved anything for us. So help me God. And he probably couldn't eat what he brought us home, because it was a treat for us. Whoever was lucky to get him first and take the lid off and see what was in there. You wouldn't believe it. Once in a while there was an onion sandwich in there. Onion sandwich, sliced onion and bread. We were poor. You didn't have a lot of meat sandwiches. Oh boy, you were rich. This is some of the treats for us kids to see our daddy coming home from work. Then when he'd come home from work, of course, black, dirty and all, he had a big wooden tub, and they'd rope up. Every house has sort of a curtain, and you put the tub in there, and you had to heat the water to give him a bath. After that, we could see him because he was black when he came home from the mines. If you're listening, Lord. Kids don't know today how lucky they are. So, honey, answer that a minute.
Oh,
so I'm sorry, so.
Well, what is your saddest memory?
What is it?
Your saddest memory?
When my dad died. Because, honey, he was my buddy. He was my everything. And I took it so hard. And my mother had one picture of my father. It was a tintype. And it was at a picnic in the Dallas Cemetery. We bought a big lot of land in Dallas. And I was with my father, Lord rest his soul. I was a little kid when he bought this cemetery lot. And Dad bought a plot for 12 graves for $100. You couldn't get one for them for $100.
No.
And so and our lot is the last cemetery, where College Misericordia, here I am again in Wilkes-Barre, where College Misericordia is in Dallas. Yeah. Our cemetery is the last cemetery, and next is Misericordia. I tell Mary O'Connor that because she went to Misericordia. But my memory, and then it was so sad, honey, and then I missed him so much. Mom had this picture of this tintype that was taken at the picnic. And the maddening thing later when I think about it, I was with my father when that picture was taken. Why didn't the man let him hold me by the hand or something? I would have been on the picture, you know what I mean? But Dad standing there alone, and it was one tintype.
Well, maybe your mom wanted just him alone.
Pardon?
Did your mom want a picture of him
She
alone?
wasn't there when she was home, but the kids, I was with my father at this picnic.
Oh.
And so anyway, I said he had taken my picture too. But even then, like now, he was looking out for the money. He was, he didn't want to go out with the kid. But when my mother had that made bigger, we had it hanging in our dining room wall. And every time nobody was around, this is after he died, I would take it off the wall and I close the door and I go in the living room and I could see myself today. It was a big, you know, these old pictures were big, round, oval shaped.
Yeah.
And I put it in front of me, and so help me God, I would talk to him and I'd cry. And one day a friend of my mother's, a friend from Europe, used to come to visit sometimes, he and his wife, he caught me and he saw the picture and what am I doing? So I told him, and I was crying. And that was it. I said, you know, I'm gonna hang it up. He told my mother, and he said, you better take care of her, you know. They thought I was losing the old, you know what I mean? And I don't know what would have happened, so I had to take a couple of days out to work. You had to get permission. And my oldest sister was married then, and she had a little girl. So we took a train from Wilkes-Barre to the only relative I had, my aunt, my mother's sister. That was a half-sister, like my mother had a stepfather. So that's the time that I was first time on a train, went to New York to visit my aunt. For
How old
2 days, I think.
How old were you on the first time on a train?
What did you say, honey?
How old were you?
14.
Okay.
Yes, how old you were. You already answered that.
When I went to my father?
No, you.
How old were you when you went on that train? You were 14, right?
Well, 14 and a little bit more because
Right.
I was gonna be 15, he died in June. I mean, in May, I would have been 15 in July.
Right. So almost 15.
Yeah, that's how old
Okay, so
I was.
I have another question for you.
Yeah,
Do you remember when you were around, when you were a little kid, were cars around?
cars,
Yeah.
not many cars.
Were there horse-drawn carriages? Or,
What was the question?
He said, were
You
there
have
horse-drawn carriages, or what did people do to get around?
The
yeah.
horse and wagon, the huckster used to come with the horse and wagon. There was no car. We hadn't got one car, they called it a jitney. One of the boys, all they had was our boys and one girl. He had, it was 4 wheels and all, they called it a jitney, but no car. It was like a little truck thing or something, you know. Nobody had a car on the patch. I think before I left, and I stayed there till I got married. I was married from that house. Mr. Zach next door. Their name was Zach Lukevich, but we called him Zach, Z-A-K, because Polish. And he had bought a car then for his family so they could go to church and all, and his oldest son was gonna learn to drive. And he thought himself, why can't he learn to drive? He got in the car and his son was trying to teach him. So there again, you don't know our house. We were right on the corner. And he was next door. He got in his car, he went from his house, I'd say he went like from here to, across the lot here, down the little hill, and he drove into a ditch.
Uh-oh.
He got out and he walked home from there, you know. And he said, "Excuse me, there's the hell with the car, he's gonna walk." So Stanley, the son, used to drive the car. He never learned, Mr. Zach never learned to drive.
That's funny.
But
You do have-
nobody had a car, nobody on the whole patch had a car.
Wow.
And cars were struck, you know, maybe if you were a little bit richer or something, you had a car. Not where we lived.
So do you have a favorite song?
Did I have a favorite song?
Yes.
Geez, I don't know if I had a favorite. I liked every song. I loved songs.
Okay.
What can I tell you? We had songs in school, we had songs.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite movie?
Pardon?
Do you have a favorite movie?
I didn't go to movies till, I guess I was a teenager. I think my sister took me once to part of the Palace. It was the gig, after all the shows had it, the smaller shows would get it, and you get
Well,
it.
how old were you when you saw your first movie?
How old was I when my first movie? I was about 11 or 12, I guess. And and it was The White Sister was the name of the movie. The White Sister was a nun.